Okay. Okay, so today we're going to be doing adding and subtracting rational expressions. Something that we need to keep in mind is that we are going to factor some things. We are going to create common denominators. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. And then we add and subtract numerators. And then we have right there for statement with restrictions. With restrictions, if it's x or y by itself, then x cannot equal 0 or y cannot equal 0. If it's an expression, we can't have the denominator equal to 0. So if it's x minus 5, x cannot be 5. If it's 2x minus 1, then x cannot be 1 over 2. So we solve for x to get the restriction. And there'll be more on this later. Okay, let's begin. Okay, so I believe our common denominator, our lowest common multiple, would be 10x. So we're going to multiply each piece by a conjugate, and let's do it. To get 10x on the bottom, I multiplied it by 5 over 5, and we're going to multiply the numerator by 5 and the denominator by 5. Plus 4, 5x, multiplied by 2 over 2 to get a common denominator of 10x, and the numerator is going to be multiplied by 2 as well. So we have 15 over 10x plus 8 over 10x. And that would be equal to 23 over 10x. And x cannot equal 0. So we have our final answer, 23 over 10x. And x cannot equal 0. And now we're going to be moving on to B. Okay, so we have our common denominator, or the lowest common multiple, between 4y, 3y, and 2y. And I think that it would be 12y. So we can cancel out these two 3's. And our lowest common multiple can now be 4y. So because we have a 4y already on the bottom, we just multiply it by 1 over 1. And you don't really need that there, but we're just going to do it for clarification. And then we have 1 over y multiplied by 4 over 4 by the conjugate of 4 over 4. And then we have 1 over 2y multiplied by 2 over 2. So now it's 2 plus 4 equals 6, minus 2 equals 4, so 4 over 4y. And then 4 and 4 are common, so divide it by 4 over 4. 4 and 4 are common, so it's 1 over y, and y cannot equal 0. So we have our final answer, 1 over y, and y cannot equal 0. Sorry about that. So we have 1 over 2x2 plus 1 over x minus 2 over x to the 3. Our common denominator, or lowest common multiple, would be 2x to the power of 3. So we have 1 over 2x to the power of 2 times x over x. We have 1 over x times 2x to the power of 2. And then we have minus 2x to the 3 multiplied by 2 over 2. And we multiply the numerator by x and the denominator by x. And we multiply it by 2x to the power of 2. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. And then we multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2 over 2. And again, it's to get the common denominator by of 2x to the power of 3. So we have 1 multiplied by x equals x, 2x to the power of 3, plus 2x to the power of 2, 2x to the power of 3, minus 4, 2x to the power of 3. So we have a common denominator of 2x to the power of 3. And then we have our numerators, which is x plus 2x2 minus 4. And I believe it's going to be 2x2 plus x minus 4 over 2x to the power of 3. And x cannot equal 0. Okay. So, we have our lowest common multiple, our common denominator. And I believe it is 10 m2 n3. So our lowest common multiple in the bottom would be 10 m to the power of 2 n to the power of 3, because our m to the highest degree would be m to the power of 2, n to the highest degree would be n to the power of 3, and our common multiple between 2 and 5 would be 10. And then we have m to the power of 2 and n to the power of 3. So we're going to be multiplying each piece by its own conjugate. So we multiply the top and the bottom by the correct conjugate, and what's missing, 2m to the power of 2 multiplied by n, and we need 10, so we multiply it by 5. M to the power of 2 is already there, and we need to get n to the power of 3. So n multiplied by n to the power of 2, n multiplied by n to the power of 2 would be n to the power of 3, and that's how we got that conjugate there. And what's missing from this equation is just 10. So m to the power of 2, n to the power of 3, and what's missing is 10. So it's missing from 5mn. We need to multiply it by 2 to get the common denominator of 10. M times m equals m to the power of 2. Then n times n to the power of 2 is n to the power of 3. We have 15 n to the power of 2, 10 m 2 n 3, minus, we have 10 m 2 n 3, plus 8 m n 2 over 10 m 2 n 3. And as you can see here, we've created the common denominator of 10 m 2 n 3. Okay. 15 n 2 minus 10 plus 8 m n 2. 10 m 2 n 3. And then m cannot equal 0, and n cannot equal 0. Moving on. So we have a common denominator of x. Okay, so we have x squared over x minus 2 over x plus 5x over x. So we have the common denominator of x, and then we just add and subtract the numerators. And we are left with x squared plus 5x minus 2 all over x, and x cannot equal 0 because x is by itself and we can't have a 0 on the denominator, so x cannot equal 0 with the denominator. So we have a common denominator of m and n. So as you can see with this piece right here, our common denominator is already there. So we times 1 over 1. This one would be times n over n. And that piece would be times mn over mn. Remember, we're multiplying by a conjugate, by the correct conjugate to create the common denominators. So we can add and subtract the numerators. So as you can see here, we have common denominators of m, n, and then we add and subtract the numerators. Okay. And that's our final answer. Okay. So we have our common denominator of 15x to the power of 2. So I multiplied this piece by 5 over 5 to get 15x to the power of 2. I multiplied this piece by 15x, 15x. So we are left with 15x to the power of 2. And that piece we multiply it by 3 over 3 to get 15x to the power of 2. We're creating common denominators. So as you can see here, we have a common denominator of 15x to the power of 2. And then we are left with expanding algebraic expressions. So 15x multiplied by 2x and 15x multiplied by 3, 3 multiplied by 5x, and 3 multiplied by 2x. And again here, 5 multiplied by 4x, and 5 multiplied by -1. So we're expanding. Sorry, just double checking my work. And then we have a common denominator of 15x to the power of 2. We expanded these out. We expanded. We are left with this. So now we open up the brackets and we add and subtract the numerators. So we have that one strike out, 20x minus 45x. So 20x plus 15x would be 35x minus 45x. So 35 minus 45 would equal -10x. And then we have plus 6 minus 5, so plus 1. And x cannot equal 0. And that's our final answer. Okay. This one is complicated, so I'm just going to skip it. Okay, so we're factoring. We factor, we create common denominators, we add and subtract numerators, and then we have our final answer with restrictions. Pay attention to the operational sign, don't accidentally change it, and it's a common mistake. So just watch out for these operational signs, and if it's a minus, then expanding that into the expression on the numerator. So we have 4x plus 12, and I believe a 4 is common there, so we're taking out a common 4, and then we can create the common denominator. So 4x plus 3 plus 5, 4x plus 3, and then we can create a common denominator of 4x plus 3. And then we do 4 plus x plus 3 multiplied by 4 over 4 by the conjugate of 4 over 4, and then we have plus 5, 4 x plus 3 plus 5 over 4 x plus 3, and then we multiply the numerator and the denominator by 4, and we have 16 over 4 x plus 3 plus 5 over 4 x plus 3, and we are left with 21 over 4 x plus 3, and x cannot be negative 3. So we have x plus 3 cannot equal 0, and then we have x cannot equal negative 3. That's how we found the restriction. Okay. So we have a common denominator of 4 in brackets x plus 3. We multiplied this piece by the correct conjugate, which was 4 over 4. We multiplied the numerator and the denominator by 4 to get a common denominator of 4x plus 3. And then we add and subtracted the numerators to get 21 over 4 in brackets x plus 3. And for the restrictions, we did x plus 3 does not equal 0, x cannot equal negative 3, so that's our restriction there. And then we're just going to circle our answer and moving on. Okay, so I see that we have a common denominator of we have a denominator of 3y minus 15. I see that 3 is common, so we're going to factor out that 3, and we're going to be left with 3y minus 5. So we multiply this piece here by 3 over 3. To get a common denominator of 3y minus 5. Okay, so we have a common denominator of 3y minus 5. We saw that 3 was common with 3y minus 15, so we factored out 3 to get a y minus 5. And then we have y minus 5 common on both denominators, and we're missing a 3. So we multiplied this 3 by 3 over 3. And then we multiplied the numerator by 3 and the denominator by 3. And then we are left with 1 minus 6. So we added and subtracted the numerators to get negative 5 over 3 minus y minus 5. 3 in brackets y minus 5. And our restriction cannot equal 5. So we have y minus 5 cannot equals 0. So y cannot equal 5. Because we can't have zeros with the denominators. So we have t over t minus 4 minus 2t over 3t minus 12. And I see that t minus 4 minus 2t, I see that a 3 is common. So in 3t minus 12, so 3t minus 4, our common denominator would be 3t minus 4. Sorry if you hear talking, it's just that my dad is home, so just to let you know. Hopefully you don't mind it. So that's our common denominator. So we multiply this piece by 3 over 3. So t over t minus 4 multiplied by 3 over 3 minus 2t, 3t minus 4, 3t, t minus 4 minus 2t, 3t minus 4. So we have 3t, and then we add and subtract the numerators. So 3t minus 2t equals just 1t over 3t minus 4. And t cannot equal 4. So we have t minus 4 cannot equal 0. So t cannot equal 4. And we have our answer. And then we're moving on. Okay. So I see first we have a common factor. Oh, sorry. So 2m plus 2 is divisible by 2, and 3m plus 3 is divisible by 3. So we have a common denominator, and I'm going to let you know what it is. It's 6m plus 1. So 2 over 2m plus 1 plus 5 over 3m plus 1. 3m plus 1, and then our common denominator is 6, in brackets m plus 1. So we are going to multiply each piece by the correct conjugate. 3 over 3 plus 5, 3m plus 1 times 2 over 2, 6 over 6m plus 1 plus 10, 6m plus 1 equals 16, 6m plus 1, m cannot equal negative 1, we have m plus 1 cannot equal 0, so m cannot equal negative 1. And there's our answer, and then we're not done yet. So 16 and 6 is divisible by 2. So we factor out the 2 to get 8 over 3 m plus 1. So there's our real answer. Alrighty, time to move on. So we have 3, 4 is common, so y minus 2, minus 2, 3 is common, so y minus 2. And our lowest common multiple, our common denominator between the two of them would be 12. Y minus 2. So 3, 4y minus 2 times 3 over 3 minus 2, 3y minus 2 times 4 over 4. And we multiply the numerator and the denominator by 3 over 3. And then with this piece, we multiply the numerator and the denominator by 4 over 4 to get a common denominator of 12y minus 2 minus 8, 12y minus 2. So then we subtract the numerators and we are left with 1, 12y minus 2. And y cannot equal 2. So y minus 2 cannot equal 0. So y cannot equal 2. And we're left with 1 over 12 in brackets y minus 2, and y cannot equal 2. Moving on. Okay. Just seeing what we have lying ahead. So I see a 2 is common, so we factor out a 2 over to factor out a 2. So 2, take away 2. We're left with 2a plus 1. And then plus 4. And then factor out a 3. And we're left with 2a plus 1. And our common denominator would be 6, 2a plus 1. So we're going to multiply each piece by a conjugate, by the correct conjugate, 3 over 3, plus 4 over 3, 2a plus 1, times 2 over 2, multiply the top, the numerator, and the denominator by 3 over 3. And then we multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2 over 2. And we are left with 3 over 6, 2a plus 1 plus 8 by 6, 2a plus 1. And then we are left with 11 because 3 plus 7 equals 10, and 3 plus 8 equals 11. And then we're left with 6, 2a plus 1. And our restriction cannot be negative 1 over 2, but I'll show you 2a plus 1 cannot equal 0. So 2a cannot equal negative 1 over 2 over 2. A cannot equal negative 1 over 2. And there's our answer and our restriction. Moving on. Alrighty. So we have a trinomial in this one. And so we're going to factor that trinomial, and then we're going to multiply by the correct conjugate and our common denominator. And let's begin. So first things first, we have 2x plus 3 plus 3 brackets x and x. I think it's plus 3 and plus 2 because x multiplied by x equals x2, x, 2x, 3x, 2x plus 3x equals 5x, and then 3 multiplied by 2 equals 6. So there's that, and then we have our common denominator, which is x plus 3 and x plus 2. So we're going to multiply this piece. We're going to multiply it by x plus 2 over x plus 2. And then we're left with this. Two x plus 7, and then on the bottom it's x plus 3, x plus 2. And x cannot be negative 3 or negative 2. So x plus 3 cannot equal 0. X cannot equal negative 3. X plus 2 cannot equal 0. So x cannot equal negative 2. And there's our final answer. Simple, isn't it? Okay, so now we have a difference of squares. So it would be when we're factoring y plus 4, y minus 4. Because the 4's cancel out and they cancel out. And then we have common denominator. So first things first, we're going to factor the bottom. Y minus 4, y plus 4, plus 4 over y plus 4. And then we're going to multiply by y minus 4 over y minus 4. So we have y over y minus 4, y plus 4, and then we have 4, y minus 4, and then we have y plus 4, and y minus 4. So we have 5y minus 16 over y minus 4, y plus 4, y cannot be plus or minus 4, so y minus 4 cannot equal 0, so y cannot equal 4, and y plus 4 cannot equal 0, so y cannot equal negative 4. So we have 5y minus 16, and that's over y minus 4 and y plus 4. So that's our answer. Moving on. We have another trinomial here. So first things first, we're going to factor that trinomial. So we have minus 5 and plus 1. So we have our common denominator, which is x minus 5 and x plus 1. Which means we're going to multiply this piece by x plus 1 over x plus 1. Hopefully you're getting it a bit more now of like what you're supposed to do and everything after that too. Let's see how much we have left. So we have quite a bit more to go. Let's do it. Again, we have a trinomial. So we have a common denominator of a minus 3 and a minus 4. So we're going to multiply this piece by a minus 4 over a minus 4. And what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Okay, so we have minus 2a2, and then we have plus 8a. Sorry, I got ahead of myself there. Okay, so we have our final answer, and that's there. Then we have a minus 3 cannot equal 0, so a cannot equal 3. A minus 4 cannot equal 0, so a cannot equal 4. There you go. Moving on. Okay, so we have another trinomial, 2x and x. So I think it's plus 1 and plus 1. So we have FOIL, so firsts, insides, so we have firsts, outsides, insides, and lasts. So 2x multiplied by x would be 2x squared, plus 2x plus 1x plus 3x, and then multiplied 1 by 1 would be 1. And our common denominator would be 2x plus 1 and x plus 1, which means we're going to multiply this piece by a conjugate of x plus 1 over x plus 1. Then we have 2x plus 6, 2x plus 1. And then, so 2x plus 1 cannot equal 0. So we have 2x cannot equal negative 1 over 2 over 2. And then we have x cannot equal negative 1 over 2. X cannot plus 1 cannot equal 0. So x cannot equal negative 1. So we have the restrictions. Final answer. Moving on. Again, we have a complex trinomial on the bottom, so let's see if we can try and solve this. We do know that one piece is going to be 2n minus 1. Most likely. So we have 2n and 3n minus 1 minus 1. So 2n multiplied by 3n would be 6. Okay, so 2n multiplied by 3n would be 6n squared. 2n multiplied by negative 1 would be minus 2n, and then minus 3n. So minus 2n and minus 3n would be negative 5n. And then multiplied negative 1 and negative 1 would be positive 1. And then we have our common denominator, which would be 2n minus 1 and 3n minus 1. So we're going to multiply this piece by 3n minus 1 over 3n minus 1. Okay, and then we need to, so numerator multiplied, the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate, and then we expand this out. So we have 18n minus 6 minus 3, 2n minus 1, 3n minus 1, and then we have 18n minus 9, 2n minus 1, 3n minus 1, and then we have a common 9, n minus 1, 2n minus 1, 3n minus 1. But you can leave it like, I would accept this as a good answer, but you're gonna need to common factor that out. And then we have our restrictions. 2n minus 1 cannot equal 0. So 2n cannot equal 1 over 2 over 2. N cannot equal 1 over 2. And then we have 3n minus 1 cannot equal 0. So we have 3n cannot equal 1 over 3 over 3. N cannot equal 1 over 3. So our restrictions is n cannot equal a half or 1/3. And then we have our answer. Okay, moving on. We have 4 more questions left. I might end it early, but we'll see. Okay, we will do another part where I finish the rest of these questions. And thank you very much for listening. I hope you found this helpful. I hope my explanations were well enough for you to understand. And thank you very much. Have a great day.